It's extremely rare that the liberal media ever admits one of their endless mistakes, so I thought we would commemorate this occasion by reading through the Washington Post's hilarious retraction from one of their exclusive stories. But first, here's just a sample of the other fake news that it gave birth to.
NBC News confirming that President Trump called Georgia's chief elections investigator to, quote, find the fraud, saying that official would be, quote, a national hero.
President Trump personally called Georgia's lead elections investigator and demanded that person produce evidence which didn't exist and, quote, find the fraud, adding that if they did so, they would be a, quote, national hero.
The Washington Post reported yesterday that President Trump called a Georgia election investigator and pressured him to, quote, find the fraud.
And President Trump apparently pressured an election investigator to find the fraud. Again, not the phone call out of Georgia, another one.
Urging them to, quote, find the fraud.
Well, you get the point. All the Operation Mockingbird assets sung the same Washington Post story in unison, adding that their sources confirmed that it was true. But now, here we are 2 months later, and the Washington Compost has retracted it. Quote, 2 months after the publication of this story, the Georgia Secretary of State released an audio recording of President Donald Trump's December phone call with the state's top elections investigator. The recording revealed that the Post misquoted Trump's comments on the call based on information provided by a source. Trump did not tell the investigator to, quote, find the fraud, or say that she would be a, quote, national hero if she did. Instead, Trump urged the investigator to scrutinize ballots in Fulton County, Georgia, asserting that she would find dishonesty there. He also told her that she had the most important job in the country right now. A story about the recording can be found here. The headline and the text of this story have been corrected to remove quotes misattributed to Trump. Fake quotes, by the way, which were used by the Democrats in Trump's second impeachment trial.
A few weeks later, on December 23rd, Trump called the chief investigator for the Georgia Bureau of Investigations, who was conducting an audit of the signature matching procedures for absentee ballots.
Pretending to conduct an audit.
Trump urged him, find the fraud, and claimed the official would be a national hero if he did. Let's call this what it is. He was asking the official to say there was evidence of fraud when there wasn't any.
Actually, the fraud is the quote that you just attributed to the president because, well, it's fake. In other news, Democrats continue to use the military to intimidate American citizens who say things that they don't like. You may have seen my previous video when various accounts from the Marines and Army counterintelligence started complaining, crying about Tucker Carlson, and now they decided to pay a visit to Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene after she made a mistake, falsely thinking that Guam was a foreign country. Of course, it was an innocent mistake, and most Americans don't know that Guam is an American territory, but as soon as she made the mistake, countless people on Twitter started piling on, pretending that they themselves actually knew that it was, and started mocking her. Then the representative from Guam, San Nicolas, whose name has never been mentioned on national television because nobody knows that he exists, decided to gather some of the Guamanian National Guard troops and march them down the halls of the congressional building to Marjorie Taylor Greene's office to pay her a visit. He then posted this video online showing him bravely leading the soldiers to her office to help educate her. And he probably introduced himself with his preferred pronouns as well. By the way, I did not add the music. He added the music himself. So dramatic. Yeah, we're gonna teach you a lesson, Congresswoman Greene. We exist. We're Guamanians. Hear us roar! Speaking of Guam, however, Marjorie Taylor Greene's comments, as embarrassing as the Democrats are trying to pretend that they are, pale in comparison to those made by Democrat Congressman Hank Johnson of Georgia when he once said this.
No, this is a island that at its widest level is, 12 miles from shore to shore, and at its smallest level, or smallest location, it's 7 miles between one shore and the other. Is that correct?
I don't have the exact dimensions, but to your point, sir, I think Guam is a small island.
Very small island, and about 24 miles, if I recall, long. So 24 miles long, about 7 miles wide at the least widest place on the island, and about 12 miles wide on the widest part of the island. And I don't know how many square miles that is. Do you happen to know?
I don't have that figure with me, sir. I can certainly supply it to you if you'd like.
Yeah, my fear is that the whole island will become so overly populated that it will tip over and capsize.
We don't anticipate that.
His comments were so stupid that even CNN at the time couldn't help but mock him.
A lot of odd things happen in Planet Washington. I actually thought this was kind of an April Fool's joke when I saw it today, but it's not. I got to say, I'm impressed with the Admiral Robert Willard, who's head of the U.S. Pacific Fleet, for not laughing, frankly. Later, when he was asked for a clarification, a spokesman for the Congressman Johnson said he meant that adding about 8,000 Marines and their families to the population of Guam could be a tipping point to the island's infrastructure and ecosystem, that he was, quote, obviously joking. You can decide for yourself.
Oh, I've decided for myself, all right. He's a moron. And speaking of morons, even Bill Maher is tired of them because he too, deep inside of his soul, if he has any soul left, knows that the Democrats are ruining this country.
Do you know who doesn't care that there's a stereotype of a Chinese man in a Dr. Seuss book? China. All 1.4 billion of them could give a crouching tiger flying
Just look at his poor face. Bill knows that the liberalism that he's been championing for all these years is metastasized into a social justice monster that may destroy the entire country if we don't stop it soon. If you want to help spread the word about the liberal pandemic before it's too late and save 20%, use the promo code DOOMED at the checkout at my online store and get yourself a Liberalism Find a Cure t-shirt, long sleeve, or a hoodie. Or if that's not your style, save 20% off of the Warning Contains Facts and Opinions, Some May Find Offensive shirt, the I Love Global Warming shirt, or any of my awesome designs. So head on over to markdice.com or click the link in the description below, get to the promo code DOOMED at the checkout, and check them out.